How's it going, everyone? Speedster here, and today I'm gonna be ranking all these game controllers down here, because while they may seem insignificant when you're first thinking about them, they really do make a difference, because I got some opinions about some of these. Okay, let's get this one out of the way first. The original NES game controller. This is honestly a solid C tier, because not because it's like super simple, because it's the NES. Of course it's gonna be simple. It's just really weird to hold. I'm so used to controllers having actual grips on them. And I know, wasn't really a thing back then, but still, it just doesn't really hold up the best. It's still a great controller, but just doesn't stand the test of time. But its successor, the controller for the Super Nintendo, that's a solid B tier right there. That's a solid B tier. It's grown more in its comfortability, not so much to the point where it's A tier, but it's still better than the original. Now jumping to its competitor, the Sega Genesis, the original 3-button one, that goes above the NES because it's just shaped a lot better for like actually holding it in an intense game session. Because if you're getting really intense with the gaming sessions, this rectangle just doesn't really work. It just doesn't feel comfortable, but this, ooh, that feels comfortable. But you know what's even better? More buttons, which is why this beauty is going in B tier. But it's gonna go below the Super Nintendo controller because while it is better for things like fighting games, it's just not really used that often. It's not utilized to its fullest potential. Most games were made with the idea that you just have 3 buttons. These are good for fighting games, but that's kind of it. So you notice with me talking about these controllers, there's just not a lot to say about them because the games that they were designed for just weren't really that complicated, so there's not much to really talk about. They're as simple as controller can get. Now the original PlayStation controller, it's in the same vein as these, but it is an upgrade because, come on, this is when the grip started coming into play. Like this is really, it's really comfortable now. Controllers finally understand that, hey, gamers want to actually hold them. It just got better. So it's basically just the Super Nintendo controller, but better. So it's going above Super Nintendo, but still in B, which means that this beauty goes right into A tier. I grew up with analog sticks, so this just looks good to me. This looks right. Don't get me wrong, everything else looks great, but this is where it's at. Now then, the Nintendo 64 controller. I mean, don't get me wrong, it works fine, but what the fuck is this design? I'm sorry, it's gotta go below everything else in C. It's just the lowest in C. It functions, sure, but I feel like I have to fight it to work. It just feels like no matter how you hold this, you're holding it the wrong way. Now the Dreamcast controller, that's going into B tier above everything else so far. That's not me saying it's the best B controller, it's the best so far in B. There's still more to go. Don't get me wrong, it's got its flaws, but it's unique. It's unique in a good way that's not this. Okay, this is gonna make me sound crazy. This looks like what this was trying to be in terms of being a unique controller. Don't hate me, please. All right, now the original fat Xbox controller. Once again, a B controller, but the highest in B because we got that dual analog sticks. But these buttons, man, they look so weird. They look like jelly beans. And it's just so fat as a controller, but like not in this way. It feels weird, but like it kind of works. I don't know. It's hard. Anyone who's held this controller knows what I'm talking about when I say it's kind of weird, but it works. Speaking of weird controllers that work, we got the GameCube controller. Now this is an S tier. This is an S tier controller. It makes so much sense. The buttons are mapped out in a way that makes sense. The A button's used all the time, with all the buttons surround it. It's so good. Now, admittedly, there is one minor flaw, and that's the C stick, but It doesn't take away anything. It just means it's going to be the lowest on the S tier. It's going to be S tier, but it's going to be the lowest S tier. But still S tier because, oh, mwah, beautiful. Speaking of S tier, the PlayStation 2 controller. Now, some people might be a little bit, about some of its features, like the pressure-sensitive face buttons. That admittedly is a little bit weird, but I played some of the games that used it, and I thought they worked pretty well. Also, I think out of all the controllers, this one just feels the most right as a controller. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but the analog sticks being like side by side as opposed to like one up here, one down here, and like it's don't get me wrong, the up and down setup works fine. I still think it's good, but like side by side, it just always made more sense to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was just more used to that, but I don't know. That's just how I feel. Okay, now the upgraded version of the original Xbox controller. That's gonna go above the dual analog stick PlayStation 1 controller because it's just this, but it's just better. There's not much to say about it. Basically, if it's a redesign that improves, it just goes one tier above because it's just the same thing again. This is just one tier above and it's better. Same with this. And this is above. It just makes sense. It makes sense. Now, the Wii controller and nunchuck, that's going to go solid A, but so far it's the lowest A because, don't get me wrong, works great when it wants to. For like the Wii sports games, it's perfection. Just mwah, perfection with those games. But with it's just so, it's hard to make it work with games that don't have every detail put into them. Hell, even Nintendo couldn't do it. They could barely get Skyward Sword to work with this thing, and they were the first party company for this controller. They should know this thing inside and out, and it was still kind of a mess. But still, when it worked great. A tier. But you know what Nintendo controller really didn't do a good job? Wii U. Gamepad. Just D tier on. It's just a D tier. It's just so pointless. Here's the thing. It's so pointless as a controller. Like, it was barely ever justified in any scenario. There is no reason to use this other than when it's shoehorned in the worst ways possible. Out of all the controllers on this list, the Wii U gamepad is the only one that genuinely feels like a burden. So it's getting the lowest rank at D. Now the Xbox 360 controller, that's a solid S tier. Above the GameCube, but below the PlayStation. I already said my piece before about how I view the analog sticks. I know that's, like I said, I know that's a personal thing, but again, this is my tier list, so literally it's just below PlayStation, literally just because of the analog stick placement. That's it. I swear that's the only reason. I'm sorry. Now, PS3 controller, it's a good controller. It's a great controller even, but it's just, it kind of feels like it takes and gives from, the PS2 controller. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, it's both an upgrade and a downgrade somehow. That's why it's an A tier, not an S tier. Like, don't get me wrong, the features were fine, but, I don't think anyone really cared. But it still worked as a controller, so A tier. Now, another A tier is the Xbox One controller, but it's the lowest because you're gonna hate me for this. It's pretty generic. Like, I don't feel anything looking at this. Everything else on this list, I feel something, Even the Wii U, I feel I feel some level of disgust, but I feel something. It's a great controller, but I feel nothing. It just leaves me with no lasting impression, other than the fact that it's a good controller. Now, the PS4 controller, this is going above the PS3 one, but still only an A because the features it has just... I don't know a single person who uses the touchpad. Do you know? Do you know someone who used the touchpad? I don't. I never did. I don't know a single person who does, or ever did. Now the Switch Joy-Cons, that's going above everything else in A because It's basically the Nintendo Wii controllers, but just a lot better. It's just way better. But the way they're designed, like, individually, it just doesn't really work as an S-tier controller. Also, it's still motion, so, you know, there's that. Motion controls can never live up to these classics right here. They just don't hold up. And then finally, we got ourselves the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, going right into A tier above every other A tier console controller. But I think that's just because well, compared to the other ones here, it was like it was you count as the newest? Well, yeah, no, it was the newest because I don't think it didn't come out when this came out. So yeah, it's the newest out of everything on this thing. It would be an S tier if it wasn't for the stick drift. I'll be honest, these two would be an S tier if it really wasn't for the notorious stick drift these things have. If you're wondering why the other console controllers aren't up here, like the most recent three, PS5, the new Xbox, I'm saying the new Xbox because who the fuck remembers the new Xbox name, and the Switch 2. One, I never got a Switch 2 because it just came out recently, and I don't have it, and also I'm not gonna buy one. I haven't used the Xbox controller enough to really even, you know, get a proper review on it. And the PS5, there's not much really to say about that either, and again, don't really use that often. So, but these I have used. These I can give accurate judgments on, at least to me. So yeah, this is what I've got. This is my tier list. I'm sure that a lot of you probably aren't going to like it that much, but remember that these choices were pretty subjective in terms of opinion. A lot of these are pretty great controllers in terms of like just how they feel to you. It's mainly a preference thing rather than an objective good or bad thing. So to all you guys watching out there, make your own. I'd love to see them. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!